Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ Dhammaṃ Sanghaṃ Namasami. So Saturday night, 27th of June, 2026. Lovely light night outside. It's quite near we've only just passed the summer solstice. Very long days, short nights. It's been very hot the last several days. Today, significantly cooler. All these changing conditions. Days getting longer, days getting shorter now. The weather was getting hotter. Now the weather getting cooler. And it was claps of thunder back just before we started the chanting. And everything sort of in flux, in flow. Nothing holding still. Nothing is holding still. Even these windows, the glass is not holding still. You go to a really, really, really old house, and with really old windows, and the glass is thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top because the glass is slowly, ever so slowly moving, building, beams shrinking, beams moving, or rotting, or decaying. Some of these things are happening so slow we don't really notice. The wearing away or the change. Or if you go to an a really old monastery. I was visiting a very old monastery, a Christian monastery. It was a sanctuary, St. Francis Sanctuary in the Rieti Valley. I had the privilege of being taken there last year, and just the centuries of people walking on stone walkway, and then just the stone worn away. It wears away. So this is all normal stuff. I think many of us have experienced this, and if not most of us, and it's you kind of go, well, yeah, so what? Stuff wears out, but it's in the Buddha's teachings, we're really encouraged to notice. Not notice and have to go around saying wow about everything, like wow, no, it's not about that, but it's just, when things register, when we see something, hear, smell, taste, whatever it is, through the six senses, to notice, and so that, all right, yeah, changing. Because it's often when our mind and heart fool ourselves, we fool ourselves into thinking something is more solid and lasting than it is, and then that's where oftentimes we get that pain element, the pain of separation, the pain of loss. Like I was just speaking with my older brother last night, and just in the last, less than a year, his wife, and my sister-in-law's biological mother died, her father, her stepfather died, other relatives, and also my mother passed away, and my stepsister, and my sister-in-law was very close to her, so in less than a year, in 1 year, the loss of three significant people, and all elders, and so it's, we know we don't live forever, but sometimes things can still catch us off guard. So there's right, boom, boom, it lands, and this is natural. And the pain of separation. Separation is painful. It's not meant to be pleasurable. separation of what we love, what we like. So, and it's not just around people, just anything. When something changes to where we don't like it. Or maybe we change communities. Maybe, we've made an intentional change. And in monastic life, like this, it's very easy to get used to the routines. Even routines maybe we don't think are perfect, or might not even like certain aspects of the routine, but that's the routine in that monastery. That's the community standards around certain things which aren't rules laid down by the Buddha. We have house rules that we cater, we adopt for each monastery, what fits for that place, and so we get used to those, and that's good. It's good to get used to them, but like I said, maybe we don't even like them. But then we go to another monastery, and we miss our old rules, even the ones that we didn't like. Where I come from, they do it like this. Why don't you do it like that? Well, because we do it different. Oh, that's interesting how that can land. It's usually not very huge or big, but we suffer. We suffer over the loss of our routines, of what we're habituated to, what we're used to. These are what we become used to. Changes, and we can suffer. We can feel stress or loss, or feel like we have to get things changed to make it the way we like it, or what we, even if if we don't like it, what we're used to. And it can happen on a sort of big scale, long-term scale, or short-term scale. So if we're used to coming, like maybe maybe somebody's come in the monastery this evening and didn't know that we're having a festival tomorrow, that we're having one of our bigger festivals of the year. International almsgiving ceremony is tomorrow. And so, all of a sudden it looks different. You might think, wow, that's really lovely. I really like the new decorations. All the lovely flags out there, nice yellow billowing flags. Or we might say, oh, I miss why is it so decorated? I like the simplicity. So I'm not saying, nobody said this to me today. I'm just kind of reflecting that, we come here and if it's not the way we are used to, even as a day visitor or an evening visitor, we might feel that in a way which is unpleasant. But the Buddha's teachings are not saying that we have to find everything pleasant, or that we should find everything the way we like it, or that we should like everything. That is not the Buddha's teachings. That is not the peace that he was aiming for us to realize. He was teaching a peace that is unconditional, not based on liking or disliking, not based on getting what we want or losing what we have or like, not based. It's being able to experience all of those and be peaceful, to be steady, at peace, at ease. So this is in not so much in the Theravada tradition, but sometimes, but this is, I like to use that word transcendent. It transcends liking and disliking. It was really hot. It got up to over 36 degrees in the shade here for 2 or 3 days. And so I don't really mind. I've lived in hot weather before. I grew up in a pretty hot climate, and I also have, I think I'm a little bit strange, and I like extremes. I think I've got a bit of a quirk in there. I like it really extremely cold or really extremely hot. There's something about it which I find, I don't know, I get certain pleasure out of it. Anyway, I'm sharing my secrets now. So I thought, wow, yeah, it's really hot. And I sort of almost, kind of, when I was speaking to my brother last night, I had kind of pleasure in telling him about it. Or, wow, it was -10, and sort of that. But not all of us are like that. Maybe just, I just can't bear it. Can't bear the heat. So don't need to like the heat. Don't need to like the cold. Don't need to like the middle comfort zone. Just to develop our awareness, our mindfulness, to notice the feeling tone. So this evening we chanted the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, the teaching on not self, which is a very particular teaching, very key, pivotal teaching, crucial for us to reflect on. But yeah, I'm going through around feelings, Vedana. And Vedana, the Pali word, so feeling, and it's good to review this. That it's not talking about emotions, not in this tradition. So it's not like, you hurt my feelings or my feelings. No, that's something else. It's emotion, and that would fall in the category of sankharas, more in that category. Mental formations. Feeling is, I like that translation for Vedana, feeling tone. So it's just the feeling tone. Is it pleasant, painful, or neutral? Is it neither nor? Is it pleasant, painful, or neither pleasant nor painful? This is a feeling tone. And another reminder for all of us, reminding myself, is that the Buddha made so many of his teachings were reflective, but he did make some very emphatic. Occasionally he'd make quite an emphatic statement. And one of those statements, which I find really important to bear in consciousness, is that where there's contact, sense contact. So when we see something, so we've got there's contact. The eye has contacted something, and so and then where there is contact, there will be feeling tone. So when you see something, some sort of feeling tone will arise. When you hear something, you've got an ear, you've got a sound. When the two meet, that's contact. When there's that contact, some sort of feeling tone will arise. And it goes the same through with, so the eye, ear, nose. So when we smell something, taste something, feel something through the body, tactile sensation, or mental contact. So when a thought arises, an emotion, a thought, we have a memory, we have an idea, any sort of thought, any sort of mental impression, then there is that with that contact, a feeling arises, a feeling tone. And it will either be pleasant, painful, or somewhere in between. And so, and that sometimes that's a little hard to get our heads wrapped around. Like, well, what do you mean neutral feeling? Does that mean just no feeling? No, it's not that. There is so for instance, the example that I use, and for many of us here, you've heard me talk about this, but it's to remind us. So the example I tend to use is like right now, just the contact, like the body contact of my robes touching my legs. So there's nothing pleasant about it. There's nothing painful about it, but there is a contact. There is a sensation when I think about it, when I look at it, when I place my attention there. There's just it's a neutral contact. It's neither pleasant nor painful, but there is registering contact through my legs. I can feel the cloth. Now, if this was maybe thick wool, kind of bristly wool, it would probably be unpleasant feeling tone, right? So here again, it's not about what the tone is, it's about noticing what the tone is. And it's not about trying to like the unlikable. We're not trying to fool ourselves. We're not trying to turn an apple into an orange. No, it's unpleasant. Okay, boom. Full stop. This is unpleasant. Full stop. We feel it, we recognize it, we note it. But what we don't do is go into a story. Because as I reflected a few months ago, I said the story is where we suffer. Oh, it's so hot, how long is this heat wave going to go on? Stop. New paragraph. last year it wasn't this hot, it never got this hot last summer, also this is the hottest June on record, stop. Return, next paragraph. Well, AccuWeather says that this weather's going to break on Saturday night, but the BBC weather says it's going to keep going. Stop. Return. So it's a story, right? Or then I've been looking at the weather. We got a big festival day tomorrow, and then some of the weather 3 days ago, some of them were saying there was a 55% chance of rain tomorrow morning. And then I got a little bit lost in that. I went, stop. Return. Oh no, what are we going to do? We want to have the ceremony outside. So it's, we get lost in the story, we get snagged. So that's where the suffering is. And so if we can, as the Buddha emphasized, if we can just notice mindfulness, awareness, steadiness, and presence, and not be overly swayed by the feeling tone. Does that mean we just do nothing when there's an unpleasant feeling? No. So, for instance, my body doesn't really like sitting in this posture that much. But this is what we refer to as polite posture in our tradition from Thailand. We're expected to sit like this when we listen to a Dhamma talk or give a Dhamma talk with certain chanting. So, for instance, when we chant the sutta like this evening, the teaching, so that chanting we sit in the polite posture. We don't stay up on our knees and toes. We sit in the polite posture. So I'm talking about the monastic form. But my body doesn't really like the polite posture. My body thinks it's a bit impolite. Sorry. So I usually have to move after a while because it gets too painful. And so it's not like we just grit our teeth and torture our body, because if I move my body, if I switch sides to the other leg on the other side, put that out to the side, then I'm not doing damage to my body. So we use discernment and wisdom. We're not just saying, oh, well, we're supposed to use this posture, and it's an unpleasant feeling, and I'm just going to grit my teeth and sit through the unpleasant feeling, come what may. Well, that's not really being wise. That's not using wisdom. And so I know people that have ruined, they've wrecked their body by sitting in meditation, full lotus. They just, no, full lotus, that's it. It's full lotus or nothing. And I even had somebody tell me that their teacher said that if you don't sit full lotus, you'll never realize enlightenment. Buddha didn't say that. And they ruined their knees. They'll never even sit on the floor again. No problem. But if they hold that idea that their teacher said that they'll never realize enlightenment because they can't sit full lotus, but Buddha never said that. Why can't you realize full enlightenment sitting in a chair? So it's not that we just bear with what's there and not try to do anything about it. But I use that word again that I used a minute ago, discernment. That's another translation for wisdom, for panya in the Pali. Quite like that, discernment. So discern with what's appropriate. It's that situational awareness also. Sati sampajanya, that mindfulness and clear awareness, situational awareness. What's needed here? And so we don't just whatever contact comes, don't do anything about it. If there's something about our sense contact which we can adjust, which would be wholesome and good and useful, or even neutral to make an adjustment, we make an adjustment. We don't just let life walk over us. It's very hot, so I was opening up my windows at about midnight. I'd have a bit of a sleep, and then I'd wake up, and quite naturally, and I'd open the windows so that in the morning it had cooled off in the kuti. I didn't just didn't just let it build up over 3 or 4 or 5 days. Same in here. We would open up all the windows early in the morning and overnight, cool it off, trap the cold air in. It's not that we just said, okay, we're just going to grit our teeth and get bear with it because this is forest tradition, forest monks and nuns, tough. No, we do what you can. We do what we can. So these are really just core basic teachings of the Buddha, but good to remind ourselves that it's quite a simple dynamic, looking at this. But going back to that word transcendence, to transcend, consciousness or our awareness is bigger than all of this. It's bigger than that painful feeling. It's bigger than that painful perception or that pleasant perception or that perception of neutrality of neither pain or pleasant. It's aware. It's conscious of. Consciousness is conscious of. Awareness is aware of. And so the awareness and the object of what's we're conscious of are two different things. And this is very, very crucial reflection. Two different things. So, but it's when we get them all mixed up, and that's maybe the getting lost in the story. We get mixed up. The contact lands, the perception lands, and then we get embroiled in it. We get entangled. There's a title of a lovely Dhamma book called Unentangled Knowing. It's a Dhamma phrase. Unentangled knowing. So we know, we're aware, we're conscious. We know how to respond to things. There's a knowing that here again, that situational awareness. We know how to respond to a situation, or to how to act in a certain social setting, or whatever. Something happens, we know what to, we do our best to respond in a good way. We know but we don't get entangled. Our mental faculties and all the mental, all the thoughts, feelings don't get entangled in that. Fully participate. There's another phrase I really appreciate. So, unentangled participation. Unentangled participation. So, trying to remain unentangled by not participating is not it. Now, that might be appropriate sometimes. Might be absolutely appropriate. Especially, we have to be very, very, and I'll use the D word again, discerning with what we involve ourselves with. So what do we get involved with? And who are we associating with? As the Buddha in the Mangala Sutta, it's like, associate with the wise. To be, who are we associating with? Are the people acting in wholesome ways? Or are we associating ourselves with people that are doing unwholesome things, unskillful things? Because this affects us. And so don't participate in that. But if something is either neutral or wholesome, like today, I was both before the meal, after the meal, and then I came back out later in the afternoon, and to see all the wholesome things going on, all the preparations for tomorrow. In particular, the flowers were being done, all these beautiful flower arrangements and other things being attended to. That was, and it was, that's participation, which is worthy to get involved in that. But and it just, we can participate, but we don't need to get entangled. We can be fully engaged as human beings. So it's not about just going back to our hut all the time, although that's a very wholesome thing to do, to go back and meditate, use the quiet hours of our day. But if that's the only time we can be peaceful, when we're on our own, instead of utilizing solitude and cherishing it in a way, and really, really valuing solitude, but not depending on always being in solitude to be at ease and peaceful, can we be at ease when there's full participation? Like also the work scene, that here is, it's really when I do get a chance to go around and maybe either participate, which is very rare, but out in the sort of the work scene when it's group work projects, is that almost always I get this. There's a strong sense of joy, and like this afternoon, there was just so much joy, people doing things, laughter and smiles. And it doesn't mean we have to always be doing things and smiling and laughing. Of course not. That'd be silly. Certain work we're doing needs really intense focus, like when the community is cutting firewood. These big, long 2 meters, 3 meters logs, they're cutting. It's dangerous. So yeah, they're focused. You go out there and you see they're focused. They got their safety gear on, focused, paying attention. So that's another, aspect of situational awareness. What's appropriate here? So when the people were out doing flowers, that was a good time. I looked over and it was still quite hot out, and somebody had broken out the ice creams. And so, normally eating in the afternoon, we sort of, but what am I going to do? Go around and tell people not to eat ice cream on a hot day after they've been working for 6 hours? No, I'm not going to do that. So awareness. So this evening we sat in meditation. Not particularly long time. It was about 40 minutes. Allowing the mind to settle, allowing the heart to settle, emotions. Of course, the echo of thoughts are going to come and go, emotions are going to come and go, but just settling, quiet, tuning in. These are our exercises, and that quietude is not the goal. It's one of our tools for developing awareness, developing the situational awareness, broad awareness, focused awareness, so that we are tuned in when sense consciousness lands, when those, so that we know, if we were to stop, or if somebody were to come up and say, well, what's the feeling tone right now, that we could actually be aware of that. Be aware. It's not like we have to go around all day long going, what's the feeling tone? What's the feeling tone? What do I feel? What do I feel? What do I feel? No, there's tension there. I would say. I would suggest that's not relaxed, but just being open, alert, but alert in a relaxed alertness, relaxed attention. When stuff lands, it stands out. It's the things that stand out, that's where we tend to grab. But we can grab the neutral as well. We can get ourselves in that kind of peaceful zone sometimes. It's neither painful nor pleasurable necessarily, but nothing really impactful. That can be quiet. We can attach to that. And that can happen to meditators quite easily, especially those of us that are used to doing a lot of meditation or a lot of retreats, especially formal retreats. Sometimes people who come from a strong retreat background find, then maybe they come here and stay as a guest. If they're some people, not, I wouldn't say many or all in any way, shape, or form, but they find that when you say, okay, well, we got the chore period from 6:15 to 7, and then we've got work period from 8:15 to the meal time. What, work? No. Sure. I meditate. And we got a few years ago that somebody was interested in joining the monastic community. They wanted to become a anagarika here. And they came from a very, very strong background in just doing formal meditation. And this is not a criticism. I'm not saying this to criticize them, but it became very clear in the emails that this was the wrong community for them, because they were talking about how they need to meditate like 7 hours a day, and if they could skip the meal so that they would have more time to meditate, and how much work did we do here? And I just finally said, I can see that this is not the right place for you, which that's fine. That's fine. But the communities like this, we have this real blend. There's a real mixture. And here again, when I see all the wholesome things that get done, and everybody helping out. The other day we were having a meeting, kind of a business meeting, to cover different responsibilities, because certain people were going away, and within just a few minutes, just all these different voices, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. I can take up that role. I can take up that responsibility. We're looking around at all the volunteers. Some of those volunteers are maybe there in the room. Just doing things. Maybe even doing things that aren't pleasant. So going back, because I'll wrap this up now, but going back to that theme of pleasant, unpleasant, pleasurable, painful, neutral. Can we develop the heart and mind? It's okay. Does everything have to be pleasant? Does everything have to be the way we want it? So I'll go back to those questions that I asked at the beginning of the evening. Can we make what changes are appropriate? Can we make what changes are possible? Can we do what we can to hang on to things that do come our way, that we do manage to achieve, whether it's collectively as a community or as an individual? Can we nurture those and nourish those and sustain them appropriately and without suffering? Can we gently change the things that aren't right? Maybe, not everything is right, and make changes, but can we do it in a way where we're not suffering? Can we not get entangled? Can we not get lost in the stories? Can we keep a clear head, keep clear our consciousness, our awareness? So that's what we're cultivating. And and I know for myself, just like the other day, something landed heavy. And I finally caught myself, getting lost in the story. But that's why we meditate. So that even if we get lost in it, we eventually wake up. All right, and not to beat ourselves up. Take joy in the fact that even if it takes an hour or a day or a week before we notice, say, all right, okay, I notice. Ooh, good. And we keep cultivating that mindfulness. So it gets quicker, gets more, it comes sooner, and we let go sooner. The sooner we see, the sooner we can let go. It's practice. It takes time. It could take lifetimes. So just encourage all of us to use our situations, choose our situations wisely, associate with the wise, associate good situations, and keep going. So I'll close the talk there. Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration through the goodness that arises from my practice.
May my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all cravings and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge, unsurpasses the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. And we'll chant the closing homage in Pali and English, and that's on page 16 in the same book. Arahant Sama Sambuddho Bhagava, the Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivatemi. I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo, the teaching so completely explained by him. Dhammam Namasami, I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Sangham Namami, I bow to the Sangha.